But then now they're going to take their triumph and their victory that they had over us, and then now put themselves in a place as the people who were being enslaved, which was us. It's crazy when you really wrap your head around it. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to grasp what I'm saying, but it's not that hard when you pay attention. They're giving you their story and our story, but of course it's being told by the conquerors, not the conquered. So we have to really focus on what they're saying, but it's plain to see what happened to us. We had our land taken. We were enslaved. It's just that simple. Okay, but now let's get back into the story, because what's crazy about all of this, when you get into the story part of it, because the story part is important too. And the parts of the story that I'm going to be giving you is important, not just for this book now, but for later. Trust me, when we start getting into all the books, and you'll see even in Deuteronomy in the next DVD, you'll see how we're going to be going back and how a lot of stuff is going to start to fit and it's how it's going to make sense. But the crazy thing, after everything Moses did, everything Moses did, everything that Aaron did, all the stuff they went through, and you got to really think about, being in that position, just looking at it from a real life point of view, being in that position to have to really look after thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just crazy what they had to do. But the simple fact they went through everything they went through, and they are not going to get to see the promised land or get to live in the promised land. They're not going to get to make it in the end, which is crazy. So what happens, a lot of people know this story, but it's an important story. So you go here, and this is Numbers 20, starting at 7. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, Because thou believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation unto the land which I have given them." So now, here it is again. This is one of those petty things that you look at in the Bible. Again, meant to teach people faith and to really scare the congregation and to really grasping what God is trying to teach. Because that's what they say. Christians are going to say, well, this guy really was trying to teach the first group of people this laws and to get them to really obey. So he was real harsh. Now understand what's taking place here. God told Moses and Aaron to basically go and get the people water. Moses done this before. Now let's go to Exodus real quick. We're going to go to Exodus. This is Exodus 17, verse 6. It's saying, "Behold, I will stand before thee there upon a rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel." So Moses did this. Now this could be, Moses did it before where he struck the rock twice and water came out. So what was supposed to happen was God was telling him and Aaron to basically go to the rock and basically, sanctify it. Say, this is God doing this. God is giving you the water. And to say those words, and as he said, God was just going to make water come out the rock. So God basically wanted them to be like, hey, yo, check this out. This water from the Lord. God giving y'all this, not me. So God do your thing, and then water come out the rock. Basically, put it in layman terms. But instead, Moses is like, okay, y'all want water? This is what y'all want. Y'all want some water? Bang, bang, here y'all go. Strike the rock twice, water come out, because that's what he did before back in Exodus. He struck the rock twice, water came out. So God is mad, and I don't understand how poor Aaron get caught up in this, and this messed up what's going to happen to him. But God mad because God like, yo, you were supposed to just go up there, say some words and say I was the one giving them the water and I was going to give them the water. But no, you went up there acting like you the man. You struck the rock 2 times. Now it's like you gave people the water. And then he was all like, yeah, here go the water, basically like from him. So this is the whole reason for those of you who know or who don't know, this is the whole reason why Moses is killed, in Deuteronomy. He doesn't make it into the promised land, and why Aaron doesn't make it into the promised land is because of this right here. Everything they did, everything they've been through. And it's a lot more. Moses was over 120 years old when he died. So much happened, so much he's going to go through to die and fall short because of this. And I know people are going to say, well, so what? God just took him to heaven. He ain't get to live. It's just, come on. It's the most pettiest thing in the world for them to go out this way, to me, when you're really paying attention to it. So now, you have the Israelites get to Kadesh, and they're basically trying to take a shortcut through Kadesh where they asking the people, can we go through? Basically saying, we're not going to touch nothing. We're going to go right through the city. All my people, we're going to go through. We're going to come out, and it ain't going to be no problems. But, they're like, no, if you come through this city, we're going to draw our swords. It's going to be a wrap. Don't come through here. So basically, they end up not going through, and the people pissed off. So basically what ends up happening is now God is trying to show them, like, basically this is stuff that happened. When people don't do what they're supposed to do, it's not going to go right. So this is basically where Aaron dies. So it says, and the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came into Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron the Mount of Hor by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Merkabah. Which is crazy, because he didn't really rebel. He just followed what Moses was doing. So it's crazy. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there in the top of the mount. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. Now, I ain't gonna lie. When I first was reading the Bible, when I got into this, I was mad. I was sad. I was like, damn. It was like a movie. Like, damn, Aaron, this how Aaron go out? Because it's crazy. The dude was there all this time. You start reading through so much. He was innocent to me in the whole thing. He was just following what he thought was right. And he like, well, if Moses doing this, and then I'm supposed to be following Moses getting the word from God. So I'm thinking everything cool. But, it's messed up. That's how he had to go out. But it is what it is. But this is basically, the end of Aaron. He doesn't make it to the promised land. So they go on. So it's almost like he had to be sacrificed for them to make it to this land. But really, it's them going into the first parts of the land that's going to be promised to them. Because now they're going to basically, which is lands that can be considered Israel. All this territory we're talking about around, understand, most of the time they in Jordan, which is like right next to Israel. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. So Israel is right there. They in this land and they trying to get there. And, they wandering, like he said. He ain't bullshit. They're going to be wandering for 40 years. And all these people, most of the people that's with him, it's not going to make it. They're going to end up dying anyway. So that happened to him. And then now the congregation is basically moving forward with Moses. So now really all that is just to really get you caught up in the story. Okay, this dude's supposed to be like one of the top people, for God. He's gone. So if that could happen to him, that could happen to anybody. Basically, what it's trying to tell you. It's almost like threatening people not to rebel or to go against, God's commandments. So basically what's going on now, the Israelites is basically going to go conquest, go out and kill more people. So it's saying here, and when the king Arad, the Canaanites, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people unto my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites. And they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. And they journeyed from the Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom, And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people speak against God and against Moses. Again, they don't learn any lesson. They're speaking against God and Moses again. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people. And much people of Israel died. This is one of those esoteric, conscious parts of the Bible where you can pick out things that it's really talking about. A lot of people already know about this already, but I'm going to go through it for those who may not know. Clearly, what's taking place is you having the people being bit by poisonous snakes. And what does God tell Moses to do? To basically pick up one of the fiery serpents and put it on a pole, and anybody who looks at it basically is going to be healed. But of course, it's giving you the medical caduceus. Then it says here in John 3:14-15, just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Clear as day, giving you the medical caduceus. And Kundalini rising. That's basically what it's talking about. Kundalini rising and your consciousness, your energy healing your body. Plain and simple. So, same thing. Christ consciousness, Kundalini energy, the energy rising to the pineal, and you having Christ consciousness and being able to heal your body and basically resurrect when you really get it. I'm going to give it away to wait till we get there. It's going to be big. But that's all it is. We understand what that part is about and what it's really getting into and what it's talking about. Poisonous snakes, Kundalini rising. Is just a simple part. And understand, like, you can really go into the Bible. You can make, and somebody need to do this, probably going to be me. You can almost make a whole consciousness book. Somebody had to do this out of these little parts like this in the Bible and put them in there and then just number it. You know, every single verse, you know, consciousness parts that's really giving you esoteric knowledge. I don't got time to do it right now, but just note this as being one, and there's others that we actually skipped that we had time to get into. But just one of those parts when they're giving you little esoteric hints about what's taking place. So now Numbers 22, 5 and 6 real quick. He sent messengers, therefore, unto Balaam, the son of Beor and Petor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, behold, there is a people come out of Egypt. Behold, they are covered the face of the earth. Remember that. We're going to go through that in Deuteronomy. That's an important part. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that he whom thou blesseth is blessed, and he whom thou curseth is cursed. So this is one of the very famous big stories in the Bible that's in this part of Numbers that a lot of people know about. The whole story of Balak, king, and Balaam, without reading through the whole thing, because there'll be a lot to read. Just quick summary for those who don't know. Understand. So again, this is one of the parts you want to put into context because you can't find this dude. And this is just one of the curious parts. So even in this book and this story, just think about the common sense of what's taking place here, what must have taken place in real life. Now, Balak, the king, he got word. I mean, everybody know at this time, yo, these Israelites who came out of Egypt, they conquering everything. The word has to spread. But in real life, we find nothing from nobody. Nobody is speaking about it in real life. But here in the book, Balak is like, yo, these people coming out, they killing everybody. They shouldn't be winning. So it basically seems like they got some kind of magic power with them. So Balak, the king, is basically going to call Balaam, who he know as being the most powerful magician, there is. But Balaam basically is cool with God, believe it or not. And God basically comes down to him and he basically say, hey, God, I don't really like these people, these Israelites either, but Balak, this king, he want me to do something to him. What's up? And God like, nah, leave it alone, chill. But then God is like, you know what? They They offering you a lot. If they come back and offer you to go, then go with them. And then when you go, basically repeat after everything I'm going to tell you to say. I'm going to tell you what to say. Don't say nothing else but what I tell you to say. So you got the whole story where, God is basically mad. I mean, God tells him this, but then God gets basically mad that he's so eager the next morning to get up and go. So you have the whole story where he's on his donkey, and then the angel appears, but only the donkey can see it. He can't see it, Balaam, and the donkey stops, and he hit the donkey 1, 2, 3 times, and then the angel appears in front of him, and then the angel is like, why you hit the donkey? Well, the donkey talked to him first, like, yo, why you hit me? What's going on? Then he, like, in his dazed and confused state, like, this donkey talking to me. And then finally the angel appeared, like, what's going on? He tells, hey, I'm going basically to see this dude, see this king. So long story short, he gets there and he basically is repeating what God telling him to say, praising the Israelites, saying they are good people, nothing wrong with these people. They are good people and everything like that. And the king gets mad. He don't want to hear all this praises. He's like, yo, I brought you here to curse these people and you keep praising them in my sight. Matter of fact, man, just get out of here. So basically on his way out, he basically blurts out, hey, the only way to really get these people to kill them is to get them to sin. If you get them to sin, then God will basically abandon them. So if you get them to sin, God will abandon them. So he basically tricks a few of the Israelites. There was this big giant festival and this party for Baal, which, believe it or not, a lot of people know this, Baal actually means Lord. Baal is another name for God. It's another name for Lord, by the way. But had this big party for their gods, what have you, and it's a party. So they get some of the Israelites to come over there and party and worship these gods. And basically, God causes a plague to come and kill a bunch of them or what have you. So then now when you come back to the story, it's like the Hebrews find out what happened and they mad and they're ready to go to war, with these people. So now, people die because of this plague, and Moses and the people are basically mad about what happened and everything. After this happened, basically, Moses chooses Joshua as his successor, to basically take his place when he died, because eventually it's going to be over. So he picks Joshua, and they basically take another census. They number Israel again and take how many people they got, take a number of how many people they got, because they're about to go fight. So basically, God basically comes down to Moses and kind of sort of stirs up the whole thing, and it's like, hey, y'all need to go and basically, avenge what happened to these people, avenge what happened to, the Israelites. But when you pay attention to it, I mean God killed them. God, you the one that said to plug in and kill them. You could have just sent an angel and said, hey, get away from these people. Instead of that, you just, you killed them. Because exactly like how Balaam said, if you get them to sin, God going, get them out of here. So it says here, this is Numbers 31, start at 7. And they warred against the Midianites. The Midianites are the ones who had the party, as the Lord commanded Moses, and they slew all the males. And they slew the king of Midian, beside the rest of them that were slain, namely Evi, and Rechem, and Zur, and Hur, and Reba, 5 kings of Midian. Balaam also, the son of Beor, they slew him. They slew with the sword. So they killed Balaam, the one who basically told them, hey, if you basically get them to sin, then, God gonna do something to him. So he got killed too. And the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captive, and the little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle, and all their flock, and all their goods. And they burnt all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all their goodly castles with fire. And they took all the spoils and all the prey, both of men and of beasts. And they brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priests, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan near Jericho. So understand, again, when you pay attention to the story, what's taking place, this is not them avenging. Again, history is told by the conquerors, not the conquered, plain and simple. So if you make a story trying to justify you committing murder, kidnapping, genocide, or what have you, theft, then you can create a story like this. So they saying, well, pay attention. God is the one that killed their people. they're going there to avenge what happened or what have you. The actions of one man that told a lie, that got a bunch of people killed, who is then killed himself. That should be the end of it. But a bunch of innocent people are going to die. Kids going to die. Women are going to be kidnapped. They're going to have their castles burnt to the ground. During this time, when it's supposed to be going on, there is no castles. What castles are they talking about? So again, this is another one of those hints they're giving you that these are African people that is talking about them going and burning down castles or what have you. Find me a castle that's burnt down. You can topple a castle. Those bricks are very hard for you to just burn to the ground, which is why I showed you guys the ruins of those African civilizations, those castles that still exist to this day. And you can go ahead and look at the story and take it as if these people basically taking part in what African kingdoms was doing. And then, these Greeks or what have you, the white man, basically burning down the castles or defeating these people. And this is basically what it's covering up for. So it's robbery. It's theft. They go in there and they are basically taking the goods, kidnapping the women, and leaving with everything. So it's like, okay, it's one thing to avenge your people, but then now you're killing innocent people and stealing their stuff. So this is basically what was taking place and what they was doing. So again, whenever they number, they're getting their people together. He sent out 1,000. So when you read, it says he sent out 1,000 soldiers from each of the tribes. So that's 12,000 soldiers went out to go avenge what took place. Something that probably happened within a group of a few people. They sent out 12,000 soldiers to basically go and eradicate these people and take them out. And, innocent people was killed and kidnapped because of the actions of a few. That don't seem fair when you really think about it. So now again, this is not only to really get the congregation of people to really obey these laws. Understand that, if you go against God, stuff is going to happen. So, it's messed up. But in the Bible story, they're basically trying to say that, these people, they didn't obey God. This is what happened to them. So the people that's getting retaliated against, these soldiers coming together and Moses and them going out there and killing these people, they basically deserve it according to the Bible because, they're sinners. They're not worshiping the true God, the one true God. But, when you put that into context with everything, as I said, God being merciful and God creating all these people and people supposed to be equal and everything like that, for the innocent people to be killed is crazy. But what really happens to them, or how the Bible describes what's happening to them, is still another thing to really get our military, because this is a part of it. Remember, it's not just the regular people they're trying to really get, but the people who would one day become real soldiers in America, soldiers for their cause, because you got to put in the heads of people that this is somehow right. So if you're getting them to believe in this religion, once you're a soldier, this is what God is allowing to happen. So God is saying that it's okay to basically kill, to murder, and rape when it's wartime. So, you get into the Bible, and this way it gets into these crazy parts. It's saying here, and Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor, and there was a plague amongst the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known a man by laying with him. But all the women children that have not known the man by laying with him, keep alive for yourselves. So understand what's taking place here. They went there, conquered these people, killed a bunch of them, and then they're basically dividing up what they're finding. So it's saying here, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the sum of the prey that was taken both of man and of beast, thou and Eleazar the priest, and the chief father of the congregation, and divide the prey unto 2 parts between them that took the war upon them who went out to battle, and between all the congregation. So basically the people who went out and fought, they get a piece, and the rest of the congregation, they get their piece. And Levi a tribute unto the Lord of the men of war which went out to battle, one soul of 500, both of the person and of the beeves, which beeves is basically like cattle, beef, and of the asses and of the sheep. Take it of their half and give it unto Eleazar the priest for an heave offering of the Lord. And the children of Israel have thou shalt taken one portion of 50 of the persons of the beeves, of the asses, and of the flocks of all manner of beasts, and give them unto the Levites, which kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord. And Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. And the booty, it's another word Muslims use, booty, war bounty, or war spoils, I should say. And the booty being the rest of the prey which the men of war had caught was 600,000 and 70,000 and 5,000 sheep, and threescore and 12,000 beeves, and threescore and 1,000 asses, and 30 and 2,000 persons in all of women that had not known a man by laying with him. Skip down here, it says 38. And the beeves were 30 and 6,000, in which the Lord's tribute was threescore and 12, and the asses were 30,500, of which the Lord's tribute was threescore and 1, and the persons was 16,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 32 persons. So now there you go. Understand what's taking place here clearly. And this is crazy to me for a book that people are supposed to look to for some kind of moral responsibility in their lives. It's supposed to give moral stability to, civilizations of people. It's murder, rape, genocide, plain and simple, theft, robbery was taking place. Supposedly from God. Now understand what's supposed to be going on. Understand now, because a lot of people are going to put it together. You had a people supposedly enslaved in Egypt, come out of Egypt, supposed to be given their promised land. They're supposed to be on the way there. Now remember, these people done already pissed God off to where he said, I'm gonna make you wander for 40 years. What's taking place though? They're not wandering for 40 years. They're conquering. Plain and simple. So when you get the parable, as I said, what happened was, really, when you look at the true story, they were breeding these soldiers, making sure they had the count, making sure they had the soldiers to basically go against these people, African people. And this is basically what's taking place. They're going into these lands and conquering and taking everything, hiding behind the story of these Israelites supposedly going, doing God's will and doing what they're supposed to do to get to their promised land. But really, it's the true story of the Greeks and the Romans and their conquest of African territories. Just that simple. But it's not hard to figure out when you really pay attention to what it's supposed to be in context with. So you have, them supposedly going to Israel, but stopping and committing genocide, raping, stealing, conquering. Now, if you look at chapter 32, from 38 to 42, we're not going to read it, but what's basically taking place is you have Moses basically going into another city and basically threatening, you might as well say, talking these people out of their land. You can see when you read down here, it's talking about them changing the names of the places. So they're basically going in there and threatening these people and saying, hey, do what we tell you to do. Everything will be all right. We're going to take this land. And remember, again, they're supposed to be on their way to Israel now. This around chapter 30, around this time, I believe the 40 years has passed and they're supposed to be on their way. But again, this is not what they're doing. They're on their way conquering lands. And then Moses is giving this lands to the people and they keep moving forward, plain and simple. So you'll see throughout their travels, they are just simply conquering land. That's all they're doing. And then now you see here, they're changing. He's giving it to these people and they're changing the names and so on and so forth. It's giving you the conquest and what happened, what's taking place, and what the Greeks was actually doing, hitting behind the story of these Hebrews, plain and simple. So in Numbers 33, Moses is basically making a summary and writing down everything that took place, up until that point. And you see in verse 3, it says, and they departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. For the Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which the Lord has smitten among them, upon their gods. Also the Lord executed judgments. And the children of Israel removed from Ramses and pitched in Succoth. And again, of course, none of this can be proven. Plain and simple. And as we all know, when you go through the history, when this supposed to have happened, the Egyptian empire did not fall. And we'll see in Deuteronomy, they make repeated reference to this point. And it's huge that you understand what they're saying. I'm going to go through it. But understand, it didn't fall. Still, after that's supposed to have happened, which it didn't, they give us the date of 1446 BCE, which is not under Ramses, as it's talking about here, Moses. Again, giving you clearly, what's taking place. They can do this. They write in history. So they throwing this stuff right in our face. Moses, it's not a coincidence. They know what they're doing. So Ramses is right there for you to read the name. And it's no such thing or no proof. And the timeline does not even add up to where they would be under the rule of Ramses. So again, you got to really pay attention to what it's saying. But it's bull, And they left and fled Egypt. And they didn't conquer Egypt because, as I said, we know the dynasties still arose and was mighty dynasties. So definitely going to look at that when they're talking about Egypt, because it's important when they bring it up. But that's basically what they've done. So you have the real cover story is these people getting this knowledge from out of Egypt and then going forward and using that knowledge to conquer. So Numbers basically ends with Moses basically writing down what took place, as I said, and basically really splitting up the spoils or the booty of the lands that they conquered. So giving the people certain lands and so on and so forth is what's supposed to be taking place as they going on towards, their so-called promised land. But again, Numbers, one of those books, it's easy for you to see what's taking place. You have it being part of the 5 books of Moses, the so-called laws of Moses or laws of God, where it's really just iterating the laws and what they're supposed to be following. And basically what's happening to the people that is not following these laws. Again, so starting out, if you're going to be teaching a doctrine, this is how you want to teach it. This is God's laws, the commandments. Plain and simple. When you look at it from this aspect, this is what you're supposed to follow. If you don't, this is what's happening. So if it's happening to people that's, at a time where they can actually see wonders from God and miracles from God, what's going to happen to these people today? So it's getting people really suckered into the story, and these people not having the mind to understand it's just a story. And then at the same time, as I'm giving you, there's a hidden story behind that story. It's basically telling you of the conquest of these people, which is us, and how they basically went on from after Egypt, conquering different civilizations, because that's what it's about. So Numbers is really misleading. Plain and simple. The title, the name, and everything. It's misleading Numbers because the Numbers really has to do with the Greeks getting the numbers together to go ahead and conquer and take our land. Plain and simple. Has nothing really to do with the census of Moses counting his people, what have you, because there's no way we can ever prove that anyway in the first place. But what we can prove and what we do know is that right after Egypt, the Greeks went on a tear, and we had Hellenization. And we had the Diadochi War and them splitting up land, just like basically what you see in Numbers. And that's basically what you can really put it with. Everything in Numbers, when you really get into the whole thing, is taking place parallel, you might as well say, with the Diadochi War and what was taking place then. Them putting together armies, getting into skirmishes and conquering lands and taking over. You don't just amass and just take all this land. I mean, look at all this land. Look at all these different countries that they split up between the successors of Alexander. And then there's other little places where they split up with, their family or their generals or what have you. So it's a lot of land that got split up. And in order for them to go ahead and conquer those other lands, they had to put together the numbers. And as I said, they got into places where, they was outnumbered or the Africans was just too much for them. And they bred these armies to go ahead and fight and beat us. Plain and simple. That's really what it's getting into. It's not so much to really dig into in the book of Numbers. And that's basically, it's going to be giving you the laws Now understand, a lot of these books, which is why I skip a lot of this stuff, when you get into it, I mean, he begot who, and this person is this. I mean, it's just the chronology and, and everything like that. And the genealogy, I should say, is just long, and, it's repeating the same stuff. You'll see, just, open your Bible and look at Numbers, and you'll see in the beginning chapters, I mean, it's just talking about the same stuff. Counting the numbers of the people and who fit in what group and so on and so forth. So, it's a lot to it. So when you look at it on the scale of the tabernacle and then the families, and then you look, from the picture, you can see it's a lot of people supposedly, that Moses commanded. And the picture is supposed to give you a sort of a scope of how that was. But really, when you look at it, what it looked like? It looked like a military encampment. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. It's a military encampment. And you got two people running the whole thing and controlling everybody else. You kind of sort of can put that with, like, master and apprentice, Jedi stuff, Sith stuff, and commanding all these people and going out and conquering. The history behind it is them basically taking our shit. Plain and simple. That's what you got to get from it, because that's what it's about. So it's not much really to get too much deep into numbers, except for what we talked about here, because that's what's really taking place. But it's a lot that we're going to definitely come back to, which is why I'm giving you these specific points and numbers, because you'll see we're going to come back to it. It's important, but for you to really pull out the real part of the story and see what it's really talking about, this is what it's talking about. Them taking our land. So I don't really want to beat around the bush on this one. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch and purchase and support and get through this numbers and get it in and understand where it fits at, because it's still a lot. I'm telling you, you'll see Deuteronomy is definitely huge to really understand, because we all know it's going to be talking about the whole Hebrew Israelite stuff and everything like that, and really go into a lot of different stuff that I haven't talked about that I was saving specifically for Deuteronomy, which you'll see. So there's a lot of stuff that you'll see. As I said, the Bible is our history, but it's not. It's hiding our history by giving us European history, and those who are conscious enough can actually pull out the true story and fit it with actual history to tell you what it's really talking about. It's not that hard, really. It's just a lot of people get caught up in the stories, and they think too hard, and they try to put too much into some of the verses that don't really go. Put it with real history. Look at real history and what it could possibly be talking about, and then you can tell where this stuff fits. Plain and simple, we can see where this fits. Numbers is simply that. The numbers, them getting the numbers together to conquer us. It's just that simple. But I want to thank you guys again. Taking the time to watch, purchase, and support. See you guys in Deuteronomy. See you guys next video. Thanks for watching.